There is new fallout now in the investigation into the operation known as Fast and Furious. A disciplinary panel now recommending that these 4 senior managers at the ATF be fired over the botched gun-running sting. That's the headline of the day, and that's what brings us to BYA Because You Asked. Off of Twitter, Kathy Parks writes, what happens with Fast and Furious now? Is the case over, or is it far from over? Jay Sekulow, Chief Counsel of the American Center for Law and Justice. That center supports a lawsuit against the Attorney General and the Justice Department, urging them to turn over some documents in the case that, Jay, I know you believe are critical. With these recommendations, by the way, a panel has to move on this. No one's lost their job yet. Is this the end of it?
No, this is the next logical step in an investigatory process that, frankly, Bill, has gone on way too long. It's taking too much time to get there. I think the right decisions were made with senior ATF officials being recommended, but as you said, recommended for termination. There's still a review process that goes on, and these were the ones that were responsible for the actual implementation of Fast and Furious. But the fact of the matter is that this is just the beginning, only because the real problem here, besides the tragic death of the Border Patrol agent, which is unbelievably not only sad and tragic, but that family, Terry family, deserves some answers. But the fact of the matter is the Department of Justice has still not rendered documents necessary for Congress to complete its oversight activities, and that's why you've got this civil contempt action in federal court right now. So that's ongoing.
Give me
you
a
also
sense
have
then. Give me a sense about, I got you, but give me a sense of what's in the documents that would tell you or us what happened.
Well, what we have to find out is exactly why the Department of Justice in February issued a letter saying there was no gun walking at all whatsoever, no such activity took place. And 8 months later, they revoked that letter and said, well, we made a mistake. That's not true. Because, Bill, if you were called to testify before a Senate panel or I was, and we submitted false statements in February, we don't get to say, sorry, we made a mistake and withdraw them 8 months later. You could be facing criminal sanctions. So the reality is those documents are necessary to find out what was going on and what was the, if there is a cover-up here, why. Now, you do have the, Chief of Staff for the Department of Justice has resigned as of Friday of this week. He gave his notice in, and as Congressman Darrell Issa said, that was long overdue. I concur with the congressman, but this is the beginning. This is unfortunately an unrolling, it's kind of a drip, drip, drip approach to getting the answers here. I think what the Department of Justice should have just come clean in the beginning, said what happened. It was an awful mistake. It was terrible. It'll never happen again. And here's who was responsible. But that has not yet been answered. And
I see. Okay.
The fact that 4 senior ATF agents have been charged, great, or have been accused and should be recommended to be terminated, that's probably the right thing, no doubt about it. But there's a lot more to it than that.
You're saying this is just the beginning then?
I really do, Bill. I think that civil contempt action in court's going to address the document issue, and then ultimately you find out who's responsible for actually implementing these procedures and this action and this operation, and they'll be held.
Yeah, we'll see what the ATF does in these recommendations. In the meantime, I know how strongly you feel about this, and you want answers from the Department of Justice to explain why that letter was submitted and then retracted. And perhaps those answers are coming or not. Jay, thank you. Jay Sekulow, to our viewers at home.
Thanks, Bill.